हेलो एंड वेलकम बैक टू वॉन्डरिंग सोम। कैसे हैं आप लोग? आज का जो वीडियो है इट इज़ अबाउट अ क्वेश्चन दैट अ लॉट ऑफ यू हैव बीन आस्किंग एंड द क्वेश्चन इज, क्या हम इंटरसेप्टर पे ऑफ रोडिंग कर सकते हैं? अगर आप यही क्वेश्चन यूट्यूब पर डालेंगे यू विल गेट अ प्लेंटी ऑफ आंसर्स, बट द मेन क्वेश्चन और द की क्वेश्चन दैट यू शुड एक्चुअली बी आस्किंग इज, इंटरसेप्टर पे ऑफ रोडिंग करने के लिए व्हाट आर द मॉडिफिकेशंस or adjustments that you need to do. Before we get down with the video, an important message: if you are here for the first time or if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, click onto the subscribe button down below and also click onto the bell icon so that you are notified when the next video is uploaded. So आज के वीडियो में हम लोग 5 चीज़ों के बारे में बात करेंगे. पहला is going to be the engine. Second is going to be about the sitting position both for the rider as well as for the pillion. Next we will be talking about the ground clearance. Now when I say ground clearance, I am not referring to जैसे अभी स्टैंड पे खड़ी है अभी का ground clearance, but we will be talking about the ground clearance when we are or the rider is sitting on the bike. उस टाइम पे इसका ground clearance कैसा है. We will talk about the front suspension and also about the rear suspension. And lastly we are going to talk about the overall weight of the vehicle. The 650cc engine of Interceptor is so amazing. It generates 52 of Newton meter torque at a very low RPM. तो इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि जब आप ऑफ-रोडिंग कर रहे हैं और जब आप पत्थरों के बीच में से निकल रहे हैं और आप बहुत ज़्यादा रेव नहीं कर सकते या रेव नहीं करना भी चाहिए, उस टाइम पे द व्हीकल गिव्स यू द ऑप्टिमम टॉर्क दैट यू नीड to come out of the slushes, mud or water, जो भी कुछ जहाँ पर भी आप डील कर रहे होंगे. Since there is such a fabulous engine that we already have with Interceptor, it is important that we take care of it and provide the best thing that will enhance the performance. On off-road, we ride at a lower gear and a higher RPM, making the engine work that much more harder. Therefore, it is important that we have the right kind of an engine oil that reduces the friction and also helps in keeping it cool. What I recommend is using the Motul 7100 engine oil. Details मैं नीचे descriptor में दे देता हूँ, and along with it an additive of Polytron. Now दोनों का क्या ratio होना चाहिए, look at the descriptor down below and all details are there. What it does is it keeps the engine cooler as compared to the liquid gun or the stock engine oil. Stock engine oil में कोई खराबी नहीं, it is very good. It's just that if you are pushing the bike to an extreme condition, you need to take some extra measures so that the bike engine performs that much more better. Now let's talk about the overall sitting position or the sitting posture on this bike. These are not the stock seat, these are something much more broader, and for the rear and for the pillion it is quite taller than the stock. So as far as the seat is concerned, it is quite comfortable. The problem area is actually down below. Lube has got the best foot pegs. Lube के बाइक पे जो फुट पैक एक्सटेंडर्स हैं उसके दो फायदे हैं. पहला, आप जब बाइक पे बैठते हो तो आपका नी जिस एंगल में मुड़ता है तो आपके नी में दर्द नहीं होता है, आप लंबे टाइम तक बैठे रह सकते हैं, राइड कर सकते हैं एंड यू आर इन अ क्वाइट अ रिलैक्स पोजीशन. दूसरा फ़ायदा इसका ये है कि जब आप पैर नीचे रखते हैं तो फुट पैक आपके पैर में चुभता नहीं है, वो आपको हर्ट नहीं करता, वो आपको ऑब्स्ट्रक्ट नहीं करता है. And the same logic applies for the pillion as well. With the foot peg extenders as it is done in Lube's bike, it becomes that much more comfortable for the pillion. In the case of Jasso, he was quite comfortable with a stock sitting on my bike. Plus, he had a plush seating.
See, I never been a rider and forget being a pillion. So when Som offered that, let's go to Spiti on a bike, I think my initial reaction was, on a bike all that way, 2000 odd kilometers. Then I went to Som and I said, how to do it. And then Som showed me few things. He gave me an air cushion, so he made a lovely little throne for me out there, with 2 sleeping bags and a backrest and whatnot. If you ask me, I think I snoozed off, almost in the first 2 days, I think I snoozed off like for almost 2-3 hours each way, and then Som used to be like, just get up, and I used to be like, yeah, I'm awake. It was that comfortable.
Actually, 4 things worked in Jasso's favor. A, his slightly shorter height, therefore he was not cramped with his foot peg position. Second, the air cushion that was there under him. The third being the harder suspension so that it won't bottom out. And the fourth and one of the most important thing was the way the luggage was tied around him so that he was tucked in one position, and that actually made him quite cozy. Now let's talk about the front suspension. मैंने पहले कई बार जिक्र किया है, इसका जो सस्पेंशन है it is quite soft. और ये वाला जो ट्रैवल है, यहाँ पर जो ट्रैवल है, दिस ट्रैवल इज़ ऑल्सो क्वाइट शॉर्ट ओवर हियर. इसमें ज़्यादा डिस्टेंस एक्चुअली इसमें मिलता नहीं है, स्पेशली जब आप ऑफ रोड कंडीशंस में जाते हैं. नाउ लास्ट टाइम व्हेन आई डिड द टेम्पल ट्रेल एंड उसके बाद मैंने आपको इसका बताया था कि आई चेंज द ऑयल, द फोक ऑयल, एंड आई हैड गॉन फॉर अ हायर ग्रेड ऑफ फोक ऑयल. मैंने 20W यूज़ किया था. वाइल द परफॉर्मेंस वॉज रियली गुड, बट उसका एक प्रॉब्लम हुआ जो मुझे उस टाइम पे नहीं पता था. द ऑयल सील विच इज़ ओवर हेयर, दे आर डिज़ाइंड फॉर द स्टॉक ऑयल. सो जब मैंने 20 डाला, विच इज़ अ वे हायर इन टर्म्स ऑफ उसका जो थिकनेस है, इट इज़ वे हायर देन द स्टॉक. दीज ऑयल सील्स वर नॉट एबल टू होल्ड देम, और जिसकी वजह से आफ्टर आई हैड कम्प्लीटेड द टूर, द टेम्पल ट्रेल, यहाँ से पूरा लीक करना चालू हो गया था. हेंस आई हैड टू सेंड द बाइक टू द वर्कशॉप. इसमें वापस नॉर्मल वाला ऑयल डला हुआ है, जो कंपनी जो स्टॉक ऑयल जो था वो डला हुआ है, एंड द ऑयल सील हैड टू बी चेंज, which means I was back to the soft setting. So just before I did the Spiti tour, मैंने heavier grade वाला ऑयल तो नहीं डाला, but what I did was कि मैंने spacers ऐड कर दिया. मैंने ये वाला पोर्शन निकाल के इसके अंदर मैंने spacers ऐड करा था, just to make the suspension bit harder. Well, it worked, but not necessarily it was the best option. If you are doing tours like Ladakh or Spiti, I recommend going for these kind of preloaders, as they will give you a fantastic control and will also enhance the overall ride comfort and the controlling of the bike. You would have seen during my Spiti calling tour, I had a pillion, just so. Thanks to him, I had so much of footage from that particular tour. Now, when he was sitting over here, and along with it I had all the luggage, and we were doing all the off-road conditions, the suspension, which the rear suspension that is, which is usually at the level 3, मैं उसको level 3 पे करके रखता हूँ. प्रॉब्लम ये हो रहा था, often it would bottom out, यानी कहीं पर भी थोड़ा सा झटका लगेगा, कोई गड्ढा आएगा, पत्थर आएगा, कुछ आएगा, and it would bottom out. And if the suspension मतलब वो बहुत ज़्यादा अगर bottom out करता है, so not only it impacts the overall ride comfort, but बाइक के ऊपर भी बहुत ज़बरदस्त वाला झटका पड़ता है. The point over here is that the stock setting of the rear suspension is not necessarily designed for off-road conditions, and especially आपके luggage, और अगर आपके पास pillion हुआ तो फिर definitely the setting will not work. And the way to work around it is push it to the last level. जब मैं सांगला से निकला, एंड बाय दैट टाइम आई हैड रियलाइज्ड कि इसका सस्पेंशन बॉटम आउट कर रहा है, टू एड्रेस द प्रॉब्लम आई हैड एक्चुअली पुश्ड इट टू द लास्ट लेवल. दिस बाइक इज 215 किलोज ड्राई वेट. अब उसके ऊपर इसका तेल, ऑयल, सारा कुछ ऐड कर दीजिए, इट विल प्रॉब्ली टच 240 किलोज. फिर उसके ऊपर आप लगेज ऐड करिए, मे बी अनदर 50 किलोज. सो मतलब आप घूम फिर के यू विल नियरली टच 300 kilos. Now, if you are doing off-road with 300 kilo bike, that's quite a thing to manage. अब अपने बाइक का वेट का तो आप कुछ खास कर नहीं सकते हो, but what you can certainly do is manage the weight that you carry on your bike. जितना ज़रूरी है उतना ही कैरी करें. The tools, some clothes and some other basic spares that you need to have. Don't overload your bike. Interceptor is a fabulous bike, but it has its own set of problems, and one of the problems is the ground clearance. With me sitting on it, the ground clearance is just about 145 mm, which is definitely not adequate when you're going off-road, and that too conditions like Spiti or Ladakh. I really don't know how to increase the height, therefore I request you guys to suggest if there are any ways and means to increase the height of the bike. But while you figure it out, it is important that you put a sump guard so that at least the base of the engine is protected. Tires are also one of the most important things while doing off-roading. I deliberately did not touch upon it, as I had mentioned it in my previous video. In case you have not seen it, here is the link. But one thing I would like to mention before I leave is that add spacers to the front mud guard, so that if you are riding on slush or muddy areas, at least there is some space for the mud to get out of the tires and not get stuck between the mud guard and the tires. So what's the bottom line? क्या ये बाइक लेके मैं ऑफ रोड कर सकता हूँ, क्या ये बाइक लेके मैं लद्दाख या स्पीति जैसी जगह पे जा सकता हूँ? ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन डू दैट. इट्स अ बाइक विच इज़ डिज़ाइंड फॉर ऑल दोज थिंग्स. It has got certain shortcomings, but overall package is a super fabulous. This bike is just too amazing. थोड़ा बहुत इधर उधर एडजस्टमेंट करना पड़ता है. Well, you have to do it for anything and everything, I believe. तो थोड़ा सा इधर उधर एडजस्टमेंट करो and the bike is ready to take you anywhere that you feel like going. तो आपको ये वीडियो कैसा लगा? Share your comments, your feedback. If there anything that I have missed out that I should have covered in this particular video, do mention in the comment section down below. And in my forthcoming videos probably I'll take care of that as well. आज के लिए इतना ही है. Till we meet again. Bye.